Coach, against a team that you've seen so many times and come up with so many different game plans for, I'm curious when you do go back to game planning and you have all those tapes of your guys against them, do you ever have to kind of like fight this internal conflict of, I want to go this way or I want to go that? Like, how conflicting is putting together a game plan against a team that you've done it against so many times?
Sure. I think you look at a lot of things. You look at some of the things that you've done well. You look at personnel, like some of that's changed over the years when you go back and you look at all of them. And then ways that they've kind of combated some of the things that we've done. And then, scheme that they've had that's hurt us to make sure that we're prepared for that. Yeah, I think it's a constant. And then you look at things that they've done to other teams as well. That may be similar to some of the things that we do. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of familiarity, but, at the same time that there's, they're very familiar with us too. So you kind of got to combat, okay, if we do this, they'll do that. If they do this, we'll do that, so there's a lot of back and forth when it comes to preparing for a team that you've faced multiple times.
Defending Josh Allen and specifically his scrambling abilities. What have you found has and hasn't been successful against him?
Well, I think you got to give them different looks. I think if you sit in the same thing, they do a very good job. I mean, they got good offensive linemen, they got good skill players. They got good tight ends, they got good backs, and the quarterback he's able to see things very well and run the offense very efficiently. So. It would be a big challenge for us this week that we're looking forward to.
Kind of on that point with Josh Allen, I know we've asked you a lot about sacks and getting pressure on the quarterback and whatnot. Is it the type of matchup and type of quarterback where, given his ability to kind of, evade pressure and, still make plays in the face of pressure, do you kind of really emphasize that you have to bring him down? It's not one of those things where just the pressure is going to get to him.
Yeah, I think when you have the opportunities to tackle him, and I think the more people you can get around him, the better off you're going to be. And, you try to cage him up and not give him open space. I think he's proven time and time again, if you give him open space, he can make plays. And, and we know he's going to make some plays. He has in every game that he's played in. We're just going to have to try to limit those the best we can. And then when we have opportunities to make plays, we need to do that.
And regarding Josh Allen, could you briefly give us the pros and cons of putting a spy on him and what situations maybe it's more effective, like maybe 3rd and 5 as opposed to 1st and 10?
Yeah, I think, look, if you're going to, anytime that you devote a spy or somebody that's going to be on the quarterback, then obviously you're pulling them from somewhere else. So either you're pulling them from the rush or you're pulling them from the coverage. And like we mentioned, they have a good offensive line. They have a good, skill. So anytime you just got to kind of weigh your odds on what you're trying to do, what you're trying to get accomplished within the calls. And I think, anytime you do the same thing repetitively with them, they usually have an answer somewhere along the way.
Josh, was Chubb on a pitch count last week, so to speak, and will he again be this week?
Sure. I think, I think Chubb's working very hard to get back to full strength. I think it was very impressive that he got out there last week dealing with what he's dealing with. And, hopefully that will continue. I know he's working very hard to get back out there as much as he possibly can. I think, you always take into consideration, not just with Chubb, other players that we have of, at this point in the season, there's probably not anybody that's 100%. But guys that are dealing with things, you try to say, okay, this is the best situation to put them in. We could probably get them for this amount of reps. And then how you spread that out with everybody else that's available to you. I think you always go into it week to week, planning that way, especially with guys that are dealing with things.
On Phillips, in what area has he shown the most growth over the last 12 months or so?
Yeah, I would say just his overall awareness defensively and his ability to play multiple spots, I think has been pretty impressive. And, he's always been a high motor, high effort guy. I think his, the techniques that he's using in the run game's improved. I think our ability to move him around has improved. He's a selfless player. There's a lot of things that, doesn't necessarily show up in the stat sheet, but, he definitely causes some disruption for the offense for sure.
The decision last week to give Elijah his first start? What led to that?
Again, I think there's a number of things. Like one, there's certain things that we feel like Elijah gives us, and there's other players that are involved in that equation that we knew, kind of wanted to limit the amount of reps that they were getting. And again, I think anytime that you see us put a player on the field, we're going to be pretty confident that, okay, that guy's going to get the job done. It's not one of those where, especially when you start the game, you're going, oh man, we got to put this guy in. Like that's not the case. Obviously we feel very comfortable and very good. I think Elijah's made a lot of progress. I think we talked about Elijah earlier in the year. He was not a guy that we were able to pinpoint, what he could do, because he had to be very multiple for us based on players that we had available to us. I think we've kind of narrowed his role down a little bit, and I think he's made the most of his opportunities that he's had, and we were very excited that he was able to get out there last week and help us out, and it was also able to limit some reps of some other guys that we were trying to limit reps.
And his best skill as a defender is what, would you say?
He's fast and physical. I mean, he is fast and physical. I think that he has a wide variety of skill set, and I think within the scheme, trying to pinpoint, okay, we think we can get this out of him. He's worked very hard. He's a very diligent worker. He's had to learn multiple positions over the course of the season that I would say has evolved, especially when you're game planning week to week. It's different week to week. And, he's a very explosive player. He's able to start very quickly. He can go from 0 to 60 in a hurry. And he's a physical player. He's not afraid of contact. So very pleased with where he's at and where he's going. And we're working very hard to build on that and to help him along in his progression as a defensive football player.
Coach, 17 games in your career you've coached up in Buffalo. First time in the playoffs, though. What do you expect the atmosphere to be like compared to a regular season game up there?
When you play at Buffalo, it's always a great football environment. It's I would say, and again, this is going to be stereotypical, so I'm sure there's different, but it's a very blue-collar, hardworking town. The fans are very passionate. Obviously I've spent my entire career in the AFC East, and it didn't matter what, if you're wearing a different colored jersey, you're not welcome there. But they love football. It'll be a great environment. We'll probably have a little less snowballs thrown at us this week if it doesn't snow. But I think it's awesome. I think it's a great football environment. I think it's a good football town. They got a great football team. They're well coached. They play hard. I don't think you could ask for anything more going up there and playing.
Upon reviewing the Jets tape, would you come away most pleased with in keeping them out of the end zone?
Well, I think, you always go back and you look at things that you could have done better. I mean, you always start with that first. I think, obviously when we had opportunities to get off the field on third down, like we talked about a week ago, to those 4-point plays that we talked about, we were able to get them off the field. So obviously that was good. Anytime that you can limit a team, or eliminate a team from scoring a touchdown, I mean, you're going to put yourself in a pretty good opportunity there.
Stands out to you from the first two matchups in terms of red zone defense? So the first game, obviously you guys had 2 late stops to kind of really clinch that game. In week 15, I believe there were 4 or 5 in the red zone. What sticks out to you from both games and kind of the execution in the red area?
Yeah, I think it comes down to just that, is execution. It was, probably we need to, do a little bit better job of marrying the rush with the coverage. Sometimes we had good rush and not good coverage. Other times we had good coverage and not good rush. And sometimes you got to marry that all together. I think, and really that's what this Sunday will come down to. It will be execution. And, it's a new season. We're very excited about it. Little matters of what, the 18 weeks that we had before us, none of that really matters. What's going to matter this week is the execution that we have on Sunday. So, and we're really looking forward to it. And like Travis said, it's going to be a great environment. I mean, we couldn't ask for anything better. So, looking forward to it.
That's kind of a complementary football question for you. Last week, you guys run the ball a lot, 35 minutes time of possession. What does that do for the defense?
Well, again, I think, that's probably a better question for, like, I don't really pay attention to, like, what we're doing offensively, scheme, time of possession. Like, the reality of it is when you go out there on the field, your job is to get off the field and get the ball back to the offense. And if that happens where it's a long drive, that happens. If it happens where it's a short drive, that happens. But the reality of it is like your goal and your mentality is always the same. It's, okay, what can we correct that happened out there on the field? What can we get better? Is there things that we need to change? But the end goal is ultimately to get the ball back to the offense as soon as we possibly can to help with the field position. Because obviously the longer the drives are, usually you lose field position as you go. So I don't think really what they're doing one way or the other kind of affects end goal for us defensively.
Coach, watching the games back over this year and even a couple of years prior to that, it seems like there's a lot of opportunities for you guys to take the football away, and it doesn't always seem to happen for your defense against this offense. I think that they had 6 fumbles in the 2 games against y'all this year. You recovered 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
How do you emphasize taking the ball away and capitalizing on those opportunities?
Yeah, I think you probably hit it right there in your question. Like, one, we have to attack the football, and then when it's out, the more people that we can get to the ball, increase our odds greatly of recovering the ball. So I think those are the things that and obviously we put an emphasis on that every week. So that won't really change. We will try to attack the ball as much as possible, and then try to get everybody to the ball as the best we can to recover those.